What's the best way to write a good text in English if you're a beginner or pre-intermediate student? Well, you shouldn't think of what you want to say in your own language and then translate. That's absolutely the wrong way to go about it. The best way is to pick a few easy texts in about the subject you want to speak about or write about, and then put them together as a collage and modify the wording so you can't be accused of plagiarism. And if you practice this method regularly, you'll learn the words and expressions and the grammatical expressions, let's say the correct way to express your ideas directly in English. So here's a short text. I stuck a few pieces from different texts together to try and create a new text, but using the correct language. So, for example, Nelson Mandela was born Rolihlahla Mandela. I would eliminate this and put it at the front. Rolihlahla Mandela was born on the 18th of July 1918 in South Africa. He was the first person in his family to go to school. Yes, we could then maybe say, and he was the first person in his family to go to school where his teacher called him Nelson. So here we've already modified it and made it easier. Let's give some background. Most people in South Africa are black, but there are also people of European and Asian origin, and people of, or we could say people of European, Asian, and sorry, there are also people of European, Asian origin and sorry, most people in South Africa are black, but there are also people of European and Asian origin, as well as of mixed race. Dutch people, Dutch people started a white colony in South Africa in 1652, and later the British arrived. I apologize for my cough. South Africa, and later the British arrive, making it part of the British Empire. Arrived with double R, making it part of the British Empire. Gold was found in 1886. So we could say, when gold was found in 1886, the country was rich, but blacks and whites or whites and blacks, fought over the land. So we can say when Mandela was little, or when Mandela was young, black people I would say directly when Mandela was young, the government was mainly white. Most black people were poor and worked as servants on farms, in factories and gold mines. So then in 1944, Nelson Mandela became a member of the African National Congress, or ANC, which wanted black South Africans to have the same human rights as white. But in 1948, the white South African government, we could specify, the white South African government made new laws to separate white and black people. This system was called apartheid. This system was called apartheid and forced white and black and non-white people. This system was called apartheid. This system, called apartheid, forced black, white, and non-white people to live in separate areas. And then we could put a colon and say they couldn't marry. Blacks and whites couldn't marry, or blacks couldn't marry whites. Blacks couldn't marry whites. Blacks couldn't. They couldn't. Black and white children went to different schools, and the people never mixed. And the people never mixed. So black people were second-class citizens, and life was very difficult. For them in South Africa. In 1956, Mandela and 155 other people were arrested for going against the government, I would say, for going against the government. Then in 1962, he was he was arrested again for plotting to overthrow plotting to take over the government. So in 1964 he was sentenced to prison for life. He was sentenced to prison for life. He spent 27 years in prison. I think this is not important, so anything unimportant is eliminated. The prison life in prison was very basic, and black prisoners didn't get much food. Mandela could only have one visitor and one letter every 6 months. So we could say Mandela only had and one letter every 6 months, but in prison, Nelson Mandela became a symbol of freedom and equality because he wanted to end apartheid. Many people asked South Africa, or we could say politicians, yes, many people. Many famous and important people asked the South African government to let him out of prison. Nelson Mandela was finally freed on the 2nd of February 1990. People watched this I don't think this is really very important. Instead, we can say a few years later, apartheid ended and Nelson Mandela became the first black president. Okay, so this was done very quickly, and of course there have been no personal opinions added, but this is the basic information, and now one can pepper it with a little of one's own opinion, but the grammar and the basic construction is correct. There will be few mistakes because we started with an original text. Okay, so this was just an example of how you can